Be a lighthouse to the nation. Anchor your children, strong foundation. Shine your light into generations coming.
Good evening, wonderful families. Thank you that you came to this meeting tonight. A light beam has become an archetype of human hope and steadfastness. May these stories of dedication and perseverance be true pulsations of hope to this audience. May direct and stir you to aspire for higher grounds, for more freedom and time for relationship with your children. May it create new opportunities for future learning and a broad-mindedness about the size of life and the greatness of our opportunities. May you find through these stories that there is no need for strife, as there is space enough for all people. May you see that it is available to all people, as it is a choice and a cost. Home education, educating your children is a cost. And the cost is to believe that authentic education is a result of faithful parents going that extra mile. Doing the right thing, tested things in education. Welcome here. Enjoy the evening. It is the vision of Lighthouse 360 to bring truth and hope as it gets darker around us. We are excited about the fact that our homes can be a safe place. That God, in all his wisdom, he had a plan how to deal with calamity in difficult times and how to protect those that cannot necessarily protect themselves. Thank you that we can learn from one another tonight. May you be blessed. Enjoy the evening. I want us to pray for the first family that was supposed to be here tonight. And I'm going to share their photo because, is it there sharing this? They are from Clarence and they got sick. The daughter got sick just now and they couldn't be here. So Amanda, we pray for your family. Is it on? Yes, there it is. We pray for this family. They will be on next time. They had to rush to the hospital for help. So next time we will have you on this Lighthouse 360 Pulse. We welcome now to Karen and Jan and Karen and their family. And Karen, tell us your story with your 3 wonderful adult children and what you've done. How many years, Karen, that you are home educating now?
We started in 2006, Marty.
Wonderful, Karen. So
yeah,
it's how many years?
Oh, then 17.
17. Shall I keep the screen, Karen?
Yes, you can, just as you like, Marty.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me to share my story. And I hope it inspires a lot of other families to go forward doing home education with their children. I'm going to give a bit of background and then I'm going to highlight out some benefits that we experienced on this journey. We started our homeschooling journey with our eldest, because our eldest daughter had a hearing problem. And a speech therapist recommended that we homeschool her for grade 1. And then I thought, well, I can do this. I am a former teacher, and 1 year is not asking too much. We'll do it for 1 year and put her back in school, and all can go on as normal. And normal wasn't normal at all, after all. We realized that we were conditioned by a system that is the norm. But that is not the normal that God created for us. At that stage in 2006, I didn't even know that homeschooling was an option. As a former teacher, I started out with, yes, you've guessed it, a prescribed curriculum. What else would you expect? And this approach lasted for 3 months. And then my daughter was so unhappy. She wanted her mom back in the house and not a teacher. Our lives was rushed and stressed. Our second daughter went to preschool because, you see, I was going to homeschool only for 1 year. So she must stay in the system so that we don't have to have adjustment problems with her too. But she was also unhappy. She wanted to stay with her sister, and her sister then said she wants to go and stay with her grandma, and I was in tears. And then my husband heard about a man called Leendert van Oostrum, who was doing a seminar about home education in Pretoria. Oh, and then we drove up all the way to Pretoria. We are living in Jan Kempdorp. And what a revelation that seminar was. I realized that I did not have the faintest idea about what homeschooling really was. I was so indoctrinated by the school system that I had to make several paradigm shifts. And each shift I made me wiser and helped me to find more gems about homeschooling. I had to leave homeschooling behind and then start home educating. Homeschooling focused on a curriculum and made us all unhappy and stressed. Home education focused on the children. And that is a wonderful way to bring up children with. So after deciding that we would try homeschooling for 1 year, we were transformed totally to home educators and went on this adventurous route for many years to come for all 3 of our children. We also went for a family consultation to Marty du Plessis to understand ourselves and our children's learning styles and thinking preferences better. And that helped me a lot. I then chose a different approach with stimulating materials, and I discovered so many benefits and positive outcomes that we couldn't be stopped. My children's special needs and abilities could be accommodated because my third child, my son, had severe dyslexia. And then I didn't need to work at the pace of the average child in a school environment. We just use an approach that when you master the concept, you move on. And I could have used different methods and accommodate all their special needs. The one-on-one tuition style of home education gave us better results than would have been possible in a school. The best benefit of all is the foundation that we as parents could have laid in their faith. That have everlasting effects. We could install a Christian worldview in them, and we as a family became a small Bible study group, discussing all the questions, and we studied different principles, books, and themes in the Bible in depth. And one of the benefits that I cherish the most is the relationships we built over the years. Today, I enjoy the companionship of 3 loving young adults. Home education gave my children many opportunities to build their socialization skills, a great concern for many parents. They interacted with a wider range of age groups, which developed more self-confidence in them. They traveled with us, they went to everybody we went to. And another great benefit of home education for us was the many books that we could read together. It enriched us all, and we were on the same page with stories, humor, and themes. It also gave us the flexibility to manage our own time. We had the privilege to travel overseas in out-of-season times, and that was a wonderful experience. And we could attend to family activities and support family when it was necessary. The quality of time we spent together is one of the greatest benefits of home education. We didn't have to rush to get the children to school on time, rushing to fetch them again and stressing about homework and school projects and so on. They did all their formal work in the mornings so that they could have the afternoons and evenings free to play and pursue their interests. One last benefit I would like to highlight to you is the greater financial control home education gives you. You cut a lot on school expenses, and you can use that money on materials that suit your children's education better, like books, maps, tools and courses, and more. Most of the materials also can be reused with younger siblings and giving you more value for your money, or you can resell some of your materials to other families. If you consider home education or you are already on the journey, I can assure you that there is no better learning environment and a loving home with a personal tutor who can offer assistance that can support them when necessary. And you as a parent do not have to teach your children everything they should know. Now, your goal should be to create self-motivated students who can teach themselves and anything they want to learn in life. You develop a whole person. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. I would say you need to meet these 3 young people. They will be on one of our next sessions. As I listened to you, Karen, I thought in the 3 years that I am helping families, I would say this day is a very exciting day. As I can delight in you and your family. You know, when God called me in 2020 to duplicate myself, and we raised up all these rooted families that's now helping other families, I would say the children are speaking more than us. People watch them and they look at their lives. And my own daughter is 36 now, and I raised her as a single parent and home educated her and to see their 8 grandchildren, my grandchildren now, also doing home educated, doing real life learning, to bring this message of truth, of authentic education. It's just so exciting. I can't sit still here on my chair. And I think it is truly a good message that we bring in difficult times, that parents can really be in control of the education of their children. What fear do you have to live with these days if you don't know what's happening next? And truly you can get up and do the first thing first, or the best thing first. Isn't it, Karen?
Yes, Marty. And if you laid a Christian worldview in your children, you don't have to be afraid to send them out, or what they are going to with whom they're going to interact with, and stress about all the influences of the world out there. You know your children will stand strong.
Yes, and so the right of the child then is to, of the parent, the right of the child is for the education to be protected and for parents to be in charge. So with everything that's happening around us, with the Bellable and all claims that homeschoolers do not know which way they go and are led by all different things like fear and racism, we can truly say, no, our vision is so much in the future and in bringing a better world and creating a generational blessing for our children, that we are not looking to what's happening here around us. Thank you very much, Karen, Jan, for your faithfulness over the years. Karen is also leading the Rooted Families. Thank you for your leadership, Karen. May you be blessed. And you're welcome to contact us if you want a consultation with Karen. I'll tell you a little bit later about that. Thank you, Karen. We are now welcoming here tonight. Where's my next slide? Sorry. Yolandi and Vincent van der Linde from the Cape. I met them recently and I was so excited when I listened to their story and that they have traveled over the world, around the world with their children, that I asked them to speak to us tonight. Yolandi, welcome. Is Vincent also there?
Hi, Marty. No, actually, my baby just fell asleep. So he is around the corner with a sleeping baby in his arms.
Okay, wonderful. You're welcome to speak and tell us about the story of yours.
Okay, sure. So I am Yolandi, as you guys heard. I'm a mom of 4. And I think the first time that we started home educating was in 2009. I had a daughter who was in grade 5. She was happily at school, but we wanted to move from Somerset West to a very small town called Greyton for the whole country living that seemed very appealing to me. There are no traffic lights. I think there's one stop street in the main road, and there are wild horses and cows that walk in the streets. And I thought this would be a really great environment to raise children. There was a small private school at the time in the village, but it didn't really feel like the school that I wanted to put my daughter in. And our 2 boys were 2 and 4, so I wasn't worried about a school for them. But at the time, it felt like a really big decision to pull my daughter out of school, because I think if you're used to sending your child to a school, you're used to giving the responsibility over to somebody else for the education. And to all of a sudden take that responsibility on felt like a really big deal at the time. So I did a lot of research and I looked at a lot of different curriculums. And eventually we took the leap and we moved. And in the beginning, I was very organized and quite rigid with my timing, which kind of worked for her because she loved the rhythm and the consistency, even though I'm not a routine kind of person. So I was also stretching myself. And my husband and I shared the schooling. So he focused more on the maths and the histories kind of things, and I did more art and biology, if we're talking like old school terminology. And we just really loved the freedom that the home educating gave us. So we did that for 2 years, and we actually gained quite a few friends and people that were also home educating. So at one point, I think there were about 15 children in total in the village. And in the mornings, we would all get together in the main road and we would take all the kids for a walk, for an hour walk. It was incredible, from littlies to teenagers. Every morning, even in winter, it would be welly boots and scarves and beanies, and we would walk out in nature. And what an incredible way to start your day. And it felt like such a blessing that we were able to do that. So after 2 years of living in the country, we felt like we wanted to move back. We wanted to expand our business. We built a network marketing business, and we wanted to sort of get back into more of a social environment, to be able to see more people and to be closer to everything. So we moved back to Somerset West, and my daughter still had all her friends from the previous school that she was in, and she was quite keen to go back just to be with her friends. And all of a sudden, it felt like such a difficult thing for me to let go of the responsibility of her education, because now all of a sudden what I have taken on as the responsibility of my child's education, you feel like you're handing it over to somebody else. So I actually went to the school. And for the first week I sat in the class, oh my word, the poor teacher must have thought I was a pain. But I just wanted to make sure that we were doing the right thing, and that they were, I wanted to see what they were teaching and what the environment was like. So anyways, so she went back to school for about 2 years, I think it was. And my son then joined grade 1 at the same school, and they had a lot of freedom. They get to wear, civvies, and I think the start time was also a little bit later than a public school. And then we bought a property we wanted to renovate, and ended up actually completely demolishing the existing house and did a complete rebuild. So I said to my husband, we can't live here because we're going to demolish the house. We're going to have to rent somewhere. So we might as well just travel. Instead of staying in one place, let's travel. And so it took me about a month or so to convince him and to sell my dream of traveling the world with my children. And eventually he agreed. So that was when we still had only the 3 kids. And at that time, they were all at a school-going age. So my daughter was grade 9, I believe. Yeah, grade 9. And the boys were probably 8 and 10 years old. And so we took on this trip. And for 9 whole months, we traveled the world. We went to 26 countries with our 3 children. And, I think when it comes to home educating, one of the favorite things for me is if a child has a specific interest, you get to focus on that, and you get to work in the mathematical side of this topic or the history of that topic. And you get to just make the learning experience so rich. And because we were traveling to so many different places, we would read up, what is the history of this place and what piques your interest? And, do you want to go and see this? And for example, in Germany, Vincent took our boys to the War Museum, and they saw all the army tankers and heard about, the stories. And in Paris, we went to go and see the art, and my daughter's taken a huge interest in art history and fashion design. And so I think traveling in itself is such a beautiful world education. So after that, my daughter felt like having a completely different experience and asked us if she could go to Somerset College, which is very much a private school, very strict uniforms, run between, from one class to the next. And she came out of that year with full-on anxiety and depression. And so we didn't send her back there. And it was quite a lesson for me, but it was something that she wanted to experience. And so we were following her lead on, giving her that experience. And then she, ended up not going back. And then with my boys during COVID, we also home educated. And again, each child is so different and so unique. So you get to be maybe more rigid with the one and stick to a schedule, where with the other one, maybe you let them sleep in because they function better later in the day. And I think that's something that I wish I had that as a child, because I'm not a morning person, but I can go through the whole night. So if someone had said to me, sleep until 11, no problem, we'll start school at 3 p.m., and you can, work on your art projects until 4 a.m, that would have really served me. And I probably would have done double as well. But unfortunately, the schooling system is not geared for individuals or for flexibility. And I think that the traditional schooling system is completely outdated and archaic, in my opinion. And I also think that we as parents are the best teachers for our children. So I think that's all from me, Martie, unless there was something else that you wanted me to share.
Thank you very much, Yolandi. That's quite exciting, what you've shared. I was just wondering about the business side, because you said you're business owners. How did the children benefit from this part in your life?
Well, we built a network marketing business, which is a word of mouth marketing business in the wellness industry, which has been such a gift because we're in wellness. You know, our children are growing up in a home where we have a huge awareness around all things wellness. So we don't drink Coke, you know, no offense to anyone that drinks Coke. I know it tastes great, but, you know, my children have grown up in a home where we know about the chemicals that are in products. We try not to have MSG, and we, you know, we are aware of our food and whatever. And so it's a company called Manatech, and we just share with people about health products and help them with their finances. And it's given us the freedom to be able to work from anywhere. So yeah, for example, tonight, Vincent also has a call. We're actually at Babylonstoren, which is like close to Franschhoek. And we get to just work from wherever we are. And the kids have been able to have their parents 24/7. So that's been incredible. You know, we always say that we're full-time parents and we're part-time building our business.
Wonderful. Yolandi, thank you very much for being here. As you are traveling also at this moment, but you made the time to bless other people. And we don't know what speaks to a heart of a person. You know, the heart is a mystery. And you address many concepts like going back to school, you know, coming out, the stress of your daughter. And I'm sure that it spoke to some people here tonight. So thank you very much for
your... It's a pleasure, and well done, and keep up the good work, okay?
Thank you very much, Yolandi. And now we invite Marianne and Thijs, Marianne, and your wonderful children. You told me a story, and also about your son learning about aviation, and my grandson is very interested in that, and I thought this story must be heard. Thank you for your effort to be here, and please tell us, and look at that picture there of your children sitting under an aeroplane. You need to tell us about that. Thijs, Marianne, thank you for being here. Please share your story with us.
Thank you very much, Marty. Thank you for the platform to share. Yes, although I'm a social worker, I'm a qualified social worker, I don't practice as a social worker, and I'm also a qualified teacher. And even though I'm a qualified teacher, I was never 100% comfortable with the school system. In the beginning, I must say our lifestyle have sort of forced me to homeschool, and I'm very glad about that. When my kids were very, very little, like still in nappies, my husband is a pilot, and he started doing contracts all around the country. At that stage, he was doing game capturing for a lot of game capturers, and we did like the Free State Parks contract. So he actually moved from game farm to game farm. And I've realized that if I want us together as a family, and if I want my kids to grow up with their dad, I would have to move with. So we had a double cab cruiser with 2 camping cots and 2 crates with educational toys and nappies, and off we went. And we did that for 5 years. And after that, the photo where we sit under the wing was where he was doing firebombing. So in winter, we would have been up in the north near Nelspruit, and in summer, we were in Cape Town. And my children started to get like at not school age, but more they had to go to where everybody sent their kids to play groups and grade RR and whatever. So I started to do very, very informal school, I have to say. My school was always very informal. I picked and chose. I never chose one curriculum. I believed what you learn or teach your child is not as important as how you learn your child. So it was amazing to be together as a family. And when my kids was about 8 and 10 years old, Thijs got a phone call and they asked us if we want to go to China for 3 years. We had a contract with a flying school. So we went to China and I homeschooled there for the first year. But my kids got very lonely because the Chinese kids going to extra classes 24/7. We found one girl that could speak a little bit of English in our complex, and she could only play on a Friday from 5 to 6. That's the only time in the week she didn't have extra classes. So I promised my kids I will find them friends. So we found an amazing British international school in Nanjing. And I always say, if there would have been schools in heaven, the schools would have been like that school in Nanjing. There were 39 nationalities in the school to start with. So my kids made friends from all over the world. Ironically, the head of the school's name was Mr. Shepherd. And if I could have chose one earthly shepherd to lead my children, I would have chosen him. I thought when I started, I was also then teaching at that school, and I thought like I was out of the box and I was relaxed and I was okay with homeschooling and I knew what I did. But that school taught me so many stuff. It was amazing on how that school didn't focus on right and wrong. They never focused on what marks the kids got. They focus on like, did you try? It's okay if you made a mistake, but did you try? And did you really, really give your best? That was the only thing the head wanted to hear. They went at each child's own pace. And what was also amazing for me, they did the Cambridge curriculum. So the academic standard was extremely high, but there was never any pressure on the kids. I remember when my kids started, everything was a bit overwhelming and new, and they didn't even have marks in their books. They didn't mark it with a red pen. There was no marks on their tests. We were a year and a half behind on maths because England is anyway a year ahead of us in maths. And they started in June and we started in December. And I remember they said to me, they don't mind if my kids get good marks in maths. They want them to love maths, and then they will start teaching them maths. So yeah, it was an amazing, amazing opportunity for my kids. I can keep you busy for hours for everything I've learned in that school. But if I can give you one example, for example, the history class. My kids were still little. I think they were 9 and 11 at that age. My son's class was then doing a whole theme on who was responsible for the fall of the Catholic Church. So the teacher have made the whole classroom a court case, and every child had his job in the court, and they had to run that court case like a proper court case for weeks on. And the only rule was you weren't allowed to talk nonsense. He wanted facts. So every night my child will get home and says, "Mom, I'm busy losing my court case here. I need facts." So by the end, they knew everything about the fall of the Catholic Church, and it was fun. And then my daughter was doing the Black Death of London, what happened in London. And I mean, they were 9-year-olds. So he sent them home without any books and any information. And he said to them, "Okay, you have to write a play for me on the Black Death, but you have to find your own information and it has to be true." So then they were 9 in a group, I think, and they did all these, they wrote all these plays. And at the end, he let them go to every primary class in the school and they had to act their play out. So at the end of the week, they did the play like 28 times and they knew their history by then. So it was extremely, extremely creative. But then we had to come back. And remember now, that was the first school experience of my children, and they thought that was school. So they really wanted to come back to school in South Africa. And I realized I have to let them try and see what happens. They enjoy the friends in school, but they were totally overwhelmed and a little bit bored, I have to say. And what really struck me was all of a sudden they used their energy on the wrong things. All of a sudden they climbed back into their boxes. They were scared to take chances. They were scared to be creative. I remember the one day my daughter ran to me after school and says, Mom, I can't remember where I have to write the date when I do my homework. And I said, like, write it wherever you want. I can't be bothered. And she said, no. I can't do it like that because the teacher was so strict in class. And I can't remember where you write the date in South Africa in your book. So needless to say, after a while, both kids came back to me and said, can they please homeschool again? They loved the Cambridge curriculum while we were in China. So they got back onto the Cambridge curriculum. And sure, what a lifestyle we had then, because we are from Mossel Bay. And obviously my son grew up in a helicopter, so you can imagine what he is doing at the moment. So for my daughter is still doing her Cambridge. She just finished she's actually going to write her last exam for IGCSE tomorrow. But she is doing her matric next year, but she is shadowing at the vet in Dana Bay, loving every minute of it. My son, in his matric year, he was homeschooling 3 times a week, and twice a week he would go up to the airfield. He finished his flying license before he finished his matric, and he was shadowing at the helicopter engineers, working in the hangars there. So yeah, I was so relieved to see that my kids got out of the box again. And if I could just end with a message for all the homeschool kids, I think, or for the homeschool parents, I think if I have heard this right in the beginning when I started, is relax and take your child's pace. Every child is different, and never push your child into something before he's ready. For example, my son Tace, the tall one, you can see here in the picture, because we were together 24/7 on the game farms, I think we as a family became quite close, and my son refused to leave me. He didn't want to play. He will play. He was very social. He would love to play with friends if they came to our house, but he never wanted to go on a play date. So everybody was pushing me like, come on, man, he's 5 years old now. He has to. So by the time he was 5 years old, he went on his first play date. But he chose to went. So 7 years later, by the time he was 12 years old, he flew all by himself from China to Germany to go and visit his friend for 6 weeks. So yeah, that was quite a lesson for me. And then when I started doing homeschooling, my son wasn't interested at all in the homeschooling. You can imagine if you ask your son, do you want to homeschool or do you want to go and fly with your dad, what he would choose. But Tace, I played a lot of educational toys. Every evening, didn't have a TV. I'm addicted to educational toys. It's all about problem solving. So we loved playing the educational toys. But when my son was supposed to start grade 1, I started reading and writing with him, and he wasn't interested at all. He couldn't grasp it. At the end, his 4-year-old sister was reading and writing, and my son just couldn't be bothered. So everybody was stressed out again, like, when am I going to teach him to write and read? And I just left him. So by the time he was about 9 or 10 years old, I think, he came back to me and said, can you please read this word for me? And I realized, but he's ready to read now. He loved his maths then. We did loads of maths, but we didn't read and write. So I started to teach him to read. And within 6 months, he was where his friends was with reading and writing. And he's really academically very strong today. I mean, he did his Cambridge matric and his flying license in 1 year. And he wasn't totally stressed out about that. So I just think if you sort of read your child when he's ready and not listen to everybody telling you at what age, what a child has to do and what everybody is doing with their children. And I think if we as homeschool parents can just start relaxing, focus on what really works for our kids and stop trying to fit into the norm, everything is going to be calm and happy. Thank you very much, Marty.
Wow, this is an amazing story. What would you say? I mean, I love the one of your son having so much courage that he could travel, to another nation. If you've listened to her carefully, because she was speaking about authentic education, she was a true ambassador, and she spoke about many principles. And this is what this whole reason is why we're doing this, is to encourage parents to be ambassadors, to be light bearers in a time that there's not a lot of direction. She spoke about the fact that the children were not disqualified. She spoke about so many educational principles, like the better late than early, the close association principle, the Charlotte Mason principle, the telling back principle, the apprenticeship learning. And if you teach a child how to learn, you don't have to teach them anything. They could do research, they could talk about it. They taught their children to do research. So yes, you're a true ambassador, Marianne. Thank you very much. That is why I've listened to you at a big gathering. I listened to her for 5 minutes and I realized I need you to talk to parents, because when you open your mouth, you are speaking about authentic education, which is such a weighted thing, something that you believe in, something that is true. Well done, Marianne. You've done so well. Marie, I can't wait what you think about this. You are there from Namibia. Please come up, Marie, and tell us what you think about Marianne's story.
Yes, no, I was smiling, and you can see I even commented. I was just so delighted to hear that others did pretty much similar things than I did. It takes a lot of courage to do things differently. And it's just so exciting to hear that others have the courage. And if we can just stop listening to everybody and do what God called us to do and listen to him, I think, yeah, thanks so much, Marianne. It was such an encouragement.
In each phase, we as parents need encouragement. And so this phase where these people show their adult children, and for us to look at it and we say, you've been faithful, well done. Isn't it good to hear that, Marianne? Because who can say that than another parent that's been through it and that now has got, you still have to go a long way. I mean, you still have to have 8 grandchildren. I mean, for another grandparent to look and say, well done. I can see your children, how they will be good parents and good fathers and mothers, and you will be good grandparents. So keep going. There's such a good legacy that you've left. And keep on speaking. Keep on speaking. Don't stop speaking. You've got authority in what you say. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let us hear from John. And there's another photo of this family. Look at the lovely view here. Thank you for sharing it. John and Adele de Beer and their children, I could visit them just about 2 weeks ago in KwaZulu-Natal. What a wonderful time it was for me. Thank you for being here. Is John home already, Adele?
Yeah, I see so. He is here.
Hello, Marty. Hello, everyone.
Yes, thank you very much. And I'm going to show the next photo also. And you can look at all these wonderful photos that I've shared. Adele, please share with us what you've prepared for us tonight. And John, thank you for making the time. He's an orthopedic surgeon, very busy. Adele gave up her medical career as a pediatrician. And here they are tonight. We can learn from them.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. So we're just going to share a little bit. We've been homeschooling now for 8 years, and we have 4 children. And you can see on the photos there, we're quite a busy family. And so we're going to share just basically why we homeschool, and we touch on different aspects of why we decided to homeschool, and what we have seen, what has happened in our family because of homeschooling. So maybe John can start off for us.
Yeah, so we started homeschooling, like Adele said, about 8 years ago. Initially, I was a little bit concerned. We lived in Ballito town, and life was quite busy. Between the two of us working and trying to arrange all the school drop-offs, and I'm sure you know how it is. This one has that school and then that one, and it's running around and quite busy. So Adele, what made you want to start homeschooling? And then I'll take it from there.
Okay. John is going to take a call from the hospital. That's why he's handing over to me. Okay, so our eldest two children were attending a Christian school in town, a very good school, but they were both having difficulties at school. Our eldest son was having some developmental issues and some serious academic challenges. He had quite significant auditory processing disorder, and he had a lot of social difficulty at school, etc. At that stage, he was in grade 4. And although the school has been extremely supportive up to that point, and we had many therapists involved helping, at that stage, they told me that they don't think that he will be able to continue mainstreaming, and they don't think he will ever be able to complete his school career in a mainstream school. And at the same time, as we were doing homework one day, he said to me, "Mommy, I just can't do this." And that's when I realized it's time to take him out. The moment he said to me, "I cannot do this," I decided this is not going to be my child. My child will know that he can do whatever he puts his mind to. And that's where it was really strongly impressed on me, this child needs to come home. At the same time, our daughter, who is an extremely creative young lady, from small, she was extremely individualistic, very confident, always busy making and baking and doing stuff, who was at that point in grade 1, started having tummy aches every single morning. And except when it's holidays and weekends. And I realized, okay, we have a problem here. And the reason for that, I knew, was because this child was being stifled. Suddenly, she was not allowed to just be herself, just be creative. Everything had to be done according to a certain way. Even the art at school had to be done in a pattern that they were told to do. And I decided I want her to be who she was created to be. So we started exploring the whole homeschooling thing, and I'll come back to the academics later. Maybe you can take over the other aspects of that.
Yeah, so just to give the advantages, maybe, it was less rushed. So that straight away I noticed a difference in the stress levels in the family. So that is important, I think, in the day and age that we're living in, is to have a relaxed atmosphere, and your children must know that their parents are relaxed. If you're rushing around the whole time and stressed out, we're creating the same in our children. And I've got a lot of colleagues who are completely burnt out. And that's just because they rushed and they don't have a balance. And I think this has given us the opportunity to be a bit more of a balanced family, and it's rubbing off on our children. One thing that Adele and I never really spoke about, but I noticed a change in the relationship with you and our daughter. A massive change. And I would get home once we started homeschooling, and around the dinner table or in and after worship, I would see the little private jokes coming through, something that happened during the day that would be reminisced on, and there would be that intimacy in the relationship between you guys at home that I never saw before. So the relationships definitely went to a whole different level. What was also nice for me is the schedule, because I work for myself. I can take holidays in and out of season as we wish, and you too at that point. And we can do that with homeschooling. So if I had a course overseas, I'd sometimes take my children with and go and have a holiday, doing things with them, and we could plan our holidays out of season, financially beneficial. So it had huge advantages from a lifestyle perspective. And then also just from growing up as Christians, Adele and I both wanted our children also to have a knowledge of the Bible. And I noticed two things for the homeschooling. The first is our schedules are such that we have morning and evening worship as a family, and that kind of sets the pace for the day. And we didn't really have time rushing around trying to get ready for school and this and traveling here and sitting in Belita traffic. Where now as we have time for that. And the second thing is the children are also starting to explore and study truths out of the Bible for themselves because of this whole homeschooling. They're not dictated on how to study. They have their own styles of study, and you can actually see them growing. In fact, they involved in online Bible studies with friends. Jana's, she's 14. She's leading out in Bible studies on a group, on her friendship groups and so on. So they've just really matured from that perspective, which has been great for us. And they also got less exposure to, there's a big drug problem and porn problem and things happening in schools around us. Now, our children are very clear in their minds that they're not interested in that. And it's been nice to actually see that, where some of my friends are really having problems with their children as far as that's concerned. So just, from my side, I think I was doubtful initially when Adele brought this to me. But I must admit, again, she's right. And it's been good on every front, from academic to schedules and to our spiritual growth. So I'm extremely happy with the way things are going with our homeschooling.
So when we started then this journey, I was very, very blessed to have had consultations with Marty, more than one. And she guided us so nicely in the approach that was right for us as a family. So, and following her advice, we were able to just let our hair down, basically, and follow what was good for our children. So, for instance, in my daughter's case, I just allowed her to be extremely creative in everything, whether it was mathematics or whether it was any subject that we were studying. I allowed her to be creative in it. Everything was turned into an art project or into a building project or into an acting project. And although she has over the years become extremely academic and very, very organized, that creativity is still flowing through with that. And it energizes her, which is a beautiful thing. And our son, who's had so many challenges at school when he was young, is now doing academically really, really well. He's doing his Cambridge AS levels this year. He'll be matriculating this year. And one interesting thing, although he had such difficulties with his auditory processing disorder, just by incorporating music every single day, having him do music lessons and just persevering with it, there is absolutely no sign of that left. And in fact, he's now actually quite an accomplished guitarist, and he also sings beautifully. So the brain is so plastic and so flexible that if we just, in a non-stressed way, just use the things that are available to us, and we can overcome those difficulties. And I just want to just make one point that is really, before I know our time is almost up, something that has really changed our whole homeschooling journey was when Marty challenged me to draw up a family mission and vision. And that really changed the way I saw everything. And that is something that I still go back to. I actually have it here with me. And I sat many hours after she challenged me to do this, to draw up a family vision and a mission. And from the mission, I wrote out a mission statement. And from there, I identified our core values as a family. And then I took each one of us and I started with myself and looked at, how does this fit into my life? Do I live up to our core values? And where do I need to work? What do I need to work on? Where do I need to change? Where am I doing well? And so I took each one of our kids and I worked through their lives, and I continue to go back to this core values that we've identified to see is the schooling that we're doing, are the activities that we're doing, are the relaxation that we're doing, are all those things fitting in with our family's mission and vision? And I'm so thankful that we have started homeschooling. It has changed our lives, and we can see that our children are well-balanced, healthy individuals. I have no concern about their futures. And I was saying to John earlier, what a beautiful thing to have teenagers in your home and having beautiful relationships with them. No strife, no rebellion, no anything, because our relationships were consolidated while they were still young. So we are very thankful that we made the decision. So are there anything else you would like us to talk about, Martie?
No, thank you very much, Adele. I just love this family. And I remember when they work on their vision, they actually spent a whole week to put down their vision. So serious it was for them to put down their vision. I remember because I visited and went away and came back, and both the parents sat down. I also remembered when John Nicholas was a young boy, I could see, how he would be successful. So now looking back to these photos, and our parents can doubt when they look from their angle. And we all need a person from the outside that's positive about home education, about God's way of doing it, and looking from that spiritual place. So I was also delighted to be there. So I ask you to have mentors in your life, to have people speaking into your life. Adele is a lady speaking into my life. She's part of our prayer group. And when I needed a knee replacement, John did it for me. So I'm internally grateful to this man for that. Well done, well done. I know they might send their daughter for extra studies. You want to say that to us? Tell us about that, Adele.
So Yana has been accepted to a music academy in Canada that she's very, very excited about. It's a very good academy. Their values are good, which is very important to us. So at the moment, we're waiting to hear if she will be able to get her visa in time, and then she'll be spending some time in Canada with them. And this academy also does outreach. It's a Christian academy that does outreach into the community. So we're very excited to see if this is going to materialize. We trust God with that too. And if you're interested, you can go look on YouTube. They've got lovely videos. It's called Fountain View Academy, and they do beautiful music videos.
Lovely.
So you're welcome to go have a look at that.
Thank you very much, Adele and John. Before you pray for all these families, I just want to say our next Lighthouse 360 Pulse is the 4th of July, and a pulse is a pulsation into this world of good stories. And we're going to send you a link after this, and you send it on. And the good stories will be more than the bad stories. In 2004, I had a dream that there's a bus going and it will stop. And I knew it talked about education the way we want to do it. And I didn't know that many systems will give in. But I was prepared for that. And since then, we are empowering families to take up their role in the education of their children. And many people have spoken about freedom in education. God led me to put it down as uncapped education with 7 lexicons, where we focus on what is in the interest of the child. That's good, authentic, researched, principles in education, that if you do that, you are not to be threatened as doing the wrong thing, but actually to do the right thing. So we will share more of that, and you can actually come to our consultations where we do a consultation with you as a family. You first get information. Father and mother listen to and watch an online seminar, and then we do the consultations and we work through a workbook. You have something in your hand, something that you can rely on that's been researched over many years. And there's also material that you can watch. So contact us, and one of the Rooted families can assist you. And we have a passion to empower you. So Henk, please pray for us. Henk and Serlene, they are in Elof near Delmas. And Serlene is also part of our prayer group, and Henk is also in our mentoring team. So thank you, Henk, for being here and praying for us.
I just want to start by saying, Marty, you started with education. Home education comes at a cost. The good news is our Father promises that that cost will be rewarded. In Proverbs 22, verse 3, he promises that if you train up a child, and the word there in the Hebrew is dedicate. Dedicate meaning spend your time and effort doing something with your child. You doing it, not somebody else, you doing it. They will not stray from the way. And which way? Or should we ask, who is the way? This is our highest prayer for our children, is that they will not fall from the way, the narrow way, who is the Lord Jesus himself. So Father, tonight I'm so blessed by my brothers and sisters who trusts you for and by doing your will, by choosing to do what you say. I'm so proud of them, and I thank you that you are proud of them. In Malachi, you call them jewels, precious stones, like those on the breastplate of Aaron, near your heart. Those who put effort, time into the little ones that you said, do not send them away. When the disciples, the very important people said, no, there's no time for children in your ministry because you are the Lord of the universe. You said, no, let them come to me. Don't send them to school, send them to me. And I thank you that parents are sacredly able, as Marty always say, to do the work, the perfect work. You chose parents for specific children, with their problems, with their whatever comes with the package. You chose this family and that family in your wisdom. And we choose to say, you know best. So we bless them with knowing they are on the right path. We bless those who experience this truth in their children. They see how their children prosper. And that's what you promised. My plans for you are to prosper you, to have shalom. And you are faithful. Tonight we celebrate you with those who educate their children from home. We thank you that you are on our side. No, we are on your side. You are at work from the beginning, and you blessed us to be co-workers with you. So the outcome will be glorious because you are glorious. And we are blessed beyond measure. We praise your name, for you are worthy. In Christ Jesus. Amen.
Thank you very much, Henk. Have a good evening, rest of the evening, and see you on the 4th of July. Thank you.
Let your light shine. Let your light shine. Make a difference in this world and let it shine. Let your light shine. Let your light shine. Make your house a home, a family of God.